Hey guys, welcome back to Things They Don't Tell You podcast. This is season 2. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, binge that first season because there are 10 amazing episodes and that will get you started on this journey. I'm not going to go through all of the stuff that I did for the first season. I just want to jump right into it because I'm so excited to have a guest this episode. This, hand claps, is Sarah Beth Bennett. Did you want me to say your full name? Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
This is my friend Sarah Beth Bennett, and she adopted a beautiful baby girl named Grace. And we are going to talk all about adoption, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the things in between. And we hope that y'all enjoy it and subscribe. And here we go. All right. I have questions.
Shoot them out. Come on.
All right. So we're just going to start in general.
Okay.
What made you want to adopt?
Well, I can tell you that at a young age, I always knew that I wanted to be a mama. Always knew I wanted to be a mama.
Okay.
And in my mind, I thought that whenever I turned 18, I was going to get married, I was going to have kids, and then by the
The
time
full gambit.
I was going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, my cards didn't work out that way, but it's okay.
Like, you mean the
21K.
order that you wanted?
Yeah, because I always thought that whenever I turned 18, and my parents done it, my grandparents before me, everybody before me had gotten married at an early age and had children.
Wow.
You know, so I just
You just thought that that was just how life was going to be.
Yeah, I thought that's how my life was going to plan out to be, and it just wasn't. And so when 21 came, still no kids, but my friends were getting married. My friends were getting, having babies. Everybody was celebrating their life, and I was like, well, Lord, okay. Still going. And then
And you're still wanting to be a mom.
always wanted to be a mama.
Wow.
Like, I always had that desire. I wanted to be, I have a beautiful mother, and my mother does everything imaginable. And from the years before, iniquities have been broken in my family from years after years after years. Mm-hmm. And what was with my grandmother, my mother changed because she wanted it to be different for her children. Mm-hmm. I wanted things to be different from my children. I wanted to make sure that they knew that they were
You just
loved.
come from lots of, good moms.
Absolutely. Mm. Everybody either took care of their mother before them as they passed away, which my mother did, took care of my grandmother. Mm. I'll do the same.
So it's just very important to you to have that to pass on to a daughter.
Yes, because, just in children in general, because I feel like not all children feel that they are loved from a very beginning. Mm. And I feel like sometimes I might go a little bit over dramatic sometimes with it, but I want my child to know that they're loved no matter what. Okay. I feel like whenever...
So when did you decide, adoption, since it wasn't happening the way that you envisioned?
So, I knew that there was different options of having a family without having a significant other or a husband. And so when we did an outreach and we were in an area of our town, and my mother had reached out to a girl, and I've known this family, since I was probably 13 or 14 years old. I've known this entire family. And when the girl had decided she wanted to come to church the next day, it was after the Deborah George meeting that we had. Okay. And the girl decided that she wanted to come to church the next day. Well, she sat with my mom, and my mom was sitting beside her, and there was just a nudge that my mother was feeling every once in a while. And she thought, hey, did you need me? And she's like, no. And finally, my mother realized, she goes, are you pregnant? And the girl says, well, I think that I am, but I'm not really sure.
Wow.
And my mother said, no, she never knew. And she never ended up going to the doctor until she was probably 8 months along.
Wow.
And by that time, I thought, mom said, well, maybe you should talk to them. Maybe they don't know what they're going to do with the baby, because the biological mother didn't really have a really good mental capacity, at least one to take care of a child.
She was just struggling?
Well, yes, she was. And so I reached out and I said, hey, what are you going to do with so-and-so's baby, whenever she decides to whenever she gives birth? And they said, well, a family member's going to end up taking the baby. Okay. I said, okay, good. Somebody's going to take the baby's going to be taken care of, protected. Yeah. Well, then days go by and I see that she's at the hospital and she's in labor. I'm like, okay, I'm going to send a text message and say, hey, praying for y'all. Let me know if y'all need anything.
You are always good like that. You always think about everybody.
I always feel like somebody needs somebody to say, hey, even if you want to vent. Yeah. I'm that type of person. I'm not going to go and I'm not going to spread your
She's
business.
the type of person that will know you in and out and then you don't know her. And you're like, wait a minute, what is she like? What is your favorite color?
I don't know. I feel like knowing somebody personally is a lot better. I'm more that person. I like to give personable gifts.
Yeah, you do.
Because I feel like I want to reach that person, so yeah. And
so you called,
I
texted her when she was in labor.
I did, yes.
Okay.
I had texted the great-grandmother. Well, the great-grandmother of my child, the grandmother of this girl.
Okay.
And asked, were they planning? They said, yes, we've already have a family lined up. I said, okay, great. Well, she went into labor. I messaged. I said, hey, praying. Let me know if y'all need anything. Mm-hmm. Well, then she messaged and says, well, yes, we need prayer. The family that was going to take the child, CPS has been called and involved with the pregnancy because of an incident that had happened prior to.
So it wasn't
Grace
just
being
like
born.
a sure thing anymore.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a sure thing anymore. And this family had some stuff in their background that CPS did not agree with.
Okay.
And so I said, okay. I said, okay, I'll pray about it, Well, my child, Gracie, was born on October the 21st. October baby. That was a Sunday or a Monday? I want to think it was a Monday. Anyways, of 2018. When Friday came around, the 26th, I sent out a message. I said, just, hey, how are y'all doing? Just wanted to check. Well, then the birth mother ends up calling me. She says, hey,
Wow, she actually reached out to you.
Yeah, she said, well, whenever I had talked to the grandmother says, well, I will tell the birth mother the name. I will, tell her that you're, questioning.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Well, then that Friday came and she called me and she's like, hey, I kind of want to go and hang out with my friends. But CPS said that if I leave my child unattended at all, she automatically gets taken away. So I said, okay. I said, so what are you planning on doing? She goes, well, I just want to go hang out with my friends for a little bit, maybe have some fun.
She just wasn't feeling like
no, she wasn't attached motherly, I guess you would say. Not motherly instinct.
Yeah.
Parental instinct, what did you want to call it? And so I said, okay. I said, well, I can take the baby, I guess, for a couple of days. Just to help, yeah. And she says, well, CPS is here now, but I'll let you know. I said, okay. 3:00 came. And I got the phone call from a CPS caseworker saying, I will be bringing the child to you in about an hour.
Wow.
I said,
how did that happen?
I said, CPS is involved? She goes, yes, ma'am, and it is a strong case. I said, okay. She goes, and this child has got to be removed immediately. Okay. I said, oh, okay. So how does this... A lot of people want to adopt, right?
Yes. And it's usually you're jumping through hoops and loops. So do you feel like this was a divine type of thing?
Because I think it was
so easy to
I think at one point it was, but that's just the beginning.
Oh, okay.
The middle takes a whole different turn. Just because,
gotcha. Because it's sounding so boom, 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 boom.
You would think. And I was like, okay, Lord, well, if this is what's supposed to happen, then let's do it.
Okay.
I had 2 hours to prepare for a lady to bring me a child.
Wow.
Parents, mothers normally have 7, 8, 9 months to know that they're getting a child.
Yes.
I had 2 hours.
Wow.
I had not a baby thing in my home.
Wow.
So I told one of my coworkers, and she goes, girl, I have got to go to my storage unit right now. She goes, I have everything imaginable for you.
Aww.
I said, really? She goes, yes. She came to my house and she dropped off bottles, clothes,
that's
a bassinet, a swing, a carrier, everything imaginable that I would need to be okay with the baby.
Wow.
She had.
So CPS brings you this baby. Mm-hmm. Do you feel an immediate connection? Does it take a while? How does that work?
To me, I felt it almost immediately.
You just was like, this is my baby.
Yes. Wow. So a lot of people, well, and a lot of the caseworkers too, whenever I first saw this child, she had a different name at that time. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like, man, this name is not her. And I thought about it and it just looked at me and it dawned on me. For as much as she went through the womb, mm-hmm. and in utero, God's grace was completely on her the entire time.
Yeah.
So, you have to take about it like this. She was born on the 21st, but I didn't get her until the 26th. There was 5 days that my child did not bond with no one.
Wow.
She did not have the instant connection that when a woman gives birth or anything of that nature, when you have that instant
that skin
bond.
To skin and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. She didn't have any of that. She never bonded like she needed to. Mm-hmm. And so I did a lot of research before I even really, got into being a foster parent or anything of that nature. And it said, honestly,
and so it started off with you fostering her. That's how it started. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had to foster her. I want to say it took 1.5 years from the day that I got her until she was 1.5 years old that her adoption was complete.
So you did have to like go through a lot.
Oh yes,
to
there is
legally
so
adopt.
much you have to go through.
So whenever you were fostering her, like, did that prevent you feel like some of the love and attachment?
Yes,
because
cried.
Because I feel like there are a lot of rules when you foster kids, right?
I cried. I want to say probably almost daily because
you sound like a mom.
I did. I did, because it's the unknowing. What if they come and they take my kid away? Like I already.
So you don't want to love her too much because then she might be ripped away.
And it was so hard, but you know what? I did it anyway. I loved her with all my heart. I still do. I mean, she's my baby, but at that point in time, I cried all the time, especially when we had to go to court because. Then we found out there was a biological father, and then,
that makes it hard.
Like there was
parents
twist.
aren't both wanting the baby adopted.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the biological mother changed her mind and said, "No, I can do this." And then CPS stepped in, and they're like, "Okay, well, you have to do A, B, C, and D." Well, they never followed from the get-go A, B, C, and D. They just automatically
do you feel
thought
like
they were going to get the child back
because the child was theirs. But once CPS and like the government is involved, there are like strict criteria.
Yes.
Okay.
I cannot leave. You cannot leave the county.
You have to follow it too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like we couldn't leave the county unless you notify the caseworker.
Wow.
In my entire whole scenario, I think I changed court-appointed advocates that are called CASA advocates. I changed 3 of them.
Wow. What is that?
A court-appointed advocate is just for the child.
To make sure the best is happening for the child. Okay.
So the child has their own personal voice that can speak for this court-appointed official. They're called a CASA worker.
Okay.
This CASA, I had 3 CASA workers. I changed 2 case workers who were over my case. I had 2 adoption case workers. I had
so each time you get a new person, are you having to like fill them in on everything?
Yes.
So
you're
having to relive all of this stuff constantly.
Their cases are so overloaded at this moment in time that nobody knew of the case until they stepped into my house.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
They knew a name, they knew a number. That was it.
So basically Grace was a name and a number.
That's all she
was.
For
the first 1.5 years of her life.
Yes.
Wow.
And so many things that you have to go through, so many tests that you have to go through, fingerprints, background checks, TB tests.
So does everybody in your house, because I know you don't live alone, like do they all feel this same way? Like how is it for the other people around you? Like
as far as adoption or as far as
like this, like the CPS aspect of it?
Well, you have to remember that there's going to be someone in your house almost every 2 to 3 days.
Wow, just checking on the baby.
Just every once in a while, you're gonna have somebody saying, "Hey, I'm free at 2:00. Can I be there?"
And you have to say yes, or else it feels like you're hiding something.
Yes, pretty much.
Wow.
You have to fill out.
It's almost
daily
like you're
logs.
Selling your house because you just have to always be ready.
Yes, you have. Your house has got to be clean.
Wow. And that's hard to do with a baby and a. Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine having that type of
And they have
stress.
to take a picture of the child every single time.
Wow.
So you have to make sure this kid looks clean.
Like, and they don't hurt themselves or something crazy. Then you have to explain that.
You have to explain if your child falls 1 ounce. I'm talking about even hits their head. You have to do a document report to say, okay, child fell and hit their head at this time, and this is what happened.
Wow.
It's not an easy process, but it is totally worth it.
Yeah, at the end of it.
It is definitely worth it.
Okay, let me ask you. Since you already answered my other question, how did the process go?
Long.
Are you, since you mentioned, and I want to keep this as respectful as possible because we love Gracie and we want her to be honored in this episode, right?
Absolutely.
So, with her biological family, do you feel like that's something that you're going to have to talk to her about soon? Like, how does that work whenever there's a father involved in, like, you know what I mean?
So, we've already started talking about some of it. She is getting older, so she is starting to ask questions. She wants to know where her daddy is.
And she knows that she's adopted?
We do. We have talked about it. I told her that, she did not come out of mommy's belly.
Okay.
But that a special lady brought her to me.
Okay.
You have to you have to make it a little bit lower for her.
Yeah.
I say that, the special lady brought you to me and you've been with me ever since.
Okay. Do you feel like she's trying to like figure things out?
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
She watches all of her little friends. She is 3.
3, okay.
Mm-hmm. And she watches all of her little friends who has daddies. Mm-hmm. And so she asks a lot of times about, where her daddy is. But then she also thinks that my dad's her dad.
Okay.
So, she calls my dad Papa. And so you ask
That's common with like single parents anyway.
Yes.
That don't have,
And of course she loves my brother. So her uncles are really big in her life too.
Perfect.
So she has the fatherly figure. I think more or less like with the biological family.
Like, is she in contact with any of them? Like,
I do let her have contact with her great-grandmother and her aunt.
Okay.
And of course, Grace has a half-sister.
Okay.
That is being raised by an aunt.
Okay.
And so I try.
Is that hard to like open her up to like these other people that are like?
Yes, in a sense, because I don't want her to get hurt. But in another sense, I need her to understand that she was chosen. I don't want her to ever feel like she was never loved or never
wanted her.
Because yes, I definitely wanted her. I chose, God chose for her and I to have that divine connection from the get-go. Whether it was hard or it wasn't, we were chosen to be together.
Because I remember when y'all were going through all this, like I didn't know all the details, but I remember thinking like, wow, she's going through a lot.
Yes.
Because the first time we saw Grace, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I could just see you and her. And I thought, oh, that works.
Yes.
So do you feel like you said from the get-go you felt that connection, but do you feel like that, I don't know how to say it. Like, are you missing anything? Like, do you feel like if this is how it is forever, this is great with me? Or are you still wanting...
I think that we have a really great relationship. I think sometimes I lack maybe in trying to understand what she's trying to come from in a standpoint, but I also feel like that's toddlers too.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to kind of know the difference.
It is. And so I try to hold her, hug her, love her. And sometimes she doesn't want that. And sometimes I don't push that on her.
Right. I know my mom did not. My mom told me I would say, don't kiss me, and like wipe it off. So some kids are just like that. So it's hard to know how much of that is from.
Yes. Now we are very bonded, and she has attachment disorder issue with me, which I don't go very, very many places without her.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised that she didn't bring her today.
Yes, I do not go very many places without her, and she's always attached to my hip.
Okay. Because she just needs that attachment.
She does.
Because you think it's because of the 5 days that she
I really do, because I've done a lot of research on it, and a lot of books and a lot of doctors state that if a child doesn't have that immediate connection from the first time that they are out of the womb, that there is some type of abandonment issue from the very beginning.
Wow, that's
and
crazy.
I want to wipe that away so much from her, because I don't want her to feel like she wasn't loved. I don't want her to feel like she was never wanted.
Yeah.
I want her to know that God had a plan for her, and that though it wasn't a conventional plan, He made a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want her to understand that adoption is love and choosing love, not because she just wasn't wanted.
Right. Because she was always wanted.
From
before she was born.
Yes. She was a twinkle in somebody else's eye. But yes.
Okay. So how important is your support system around you? Do you feel like you couldn't have done it without
Absolutely not.
people?
Absolutely not. And they'll even tell you whenever you're adopting a child, do you have a support system? Because this is not something that you can do by yourself or alone. There is times where, I have to have my parents go and pick her up from school, or because I'm at work, or they may have to take care of her because I have to run an errand. During the whole thing, my parents were troopers, and there was a lot of stuff that they had to do that I know they didn't want to do. They had to be TB tested. They had to be, we had to do CPR.
Y'all all had to learn CPR?
Us, yes. Every one of us had to be certified.
Do you feel like all the stuff that you had to go through to become a mom, do you feel like that should be required for every mom?
To be honest, yes.
Do you feel like it helps you be a better mom?
I think it helps you with being prepared for a child, but I also think it widens the horizon, because whenever you're pregnant or you're thinking about a child, you're only in that moment. You're not thinking about the future. There is so many times where, and when a CPS worker comes in, they're going to come in and they're going to check your ice box. They're going to look for food. They're going to go over, they're going to turn the water on, and then they're going to go flush your toilet.
Oh, wow.
They're going to find out where your baby's sleeping. You cannot co-sleep with a child.
Really?
Yes, but I didn't do that.
I'm about to say, don't listen to that.
No. Okay. There was just so many
Yeah.
things that you had to do.
Yeah.
I
You had
mean,
to make it look like she was.
Yeah, she had a bed that she never
That is
slept in.
so funny. And that is the most normal thing you could do as a
Yes,
mom is
yes.
sleep with your baby.
Yes. And let me tell you something. I had decided a while ago, I'd contacted the adoption caseworker and I had asked her, I said, hey, I kind of think about wanting to doing it again. So what do you suggest?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she says,
the tea.
she says, well, she started thinking about it. She goes, well, do this, this, and this. I said, well, do I have to do the same thing that I do with Grace? She goes, oh, no, girl, she's yours now. You can do whatever you want with her. And I said, I can do whatever I want. She goes, oh, yeah, that's your biological child now. She goes,
Oh, wow. But I did hear that if you, if you had any other kids, that you, biologically after Grace, you can write them out of your will, but you can never write Grace out of your will.
really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know
Because
that.
she is adopted and you chose her, you can never,
Wow.
disown her or whatever.
That's actually pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
That's
She's
pretty cool.
more of your kid than
Yeah.
your kid.
And it's so weird because I was just like, so I can do anything with her. She goes, oh yeah, we don't mind. I was like, oh,
Because she's
okay.
legally your baby.
Yes, she is.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
I know it took a long time to get there. A lot of impatience. I did a lot of emailing, calling. I wanted to know where everything was.
Was it like a full-time? How did you keep up with work and all that other stuff doing this?
Very hard. There was times where we had to have an adoption caseworker come in, and they want to know everything. They want to know about my grandparents who are no longer alive.
Wow.
They want to know where did they come from, every background check, my siblings, where they were, where did they live, did I have a close relationship with them, who did I feel I had the better relationship with, why did I feel I have a better relationship with my brothers.
Wow. So did you have to go to therapy? That sounds like counselor
No.
type of stuff.
And it was so weird. No, you
Just telling to
didn't.
strangers your
You-
whole life.
Everything.
Oh, man.
Did I get a ticket? How old was I when I got my first driving ticket?
Oh my god.
Why did I get my driving ticket? I mean, there
Why
was
do
all
they
kinds
need
of
to
questions.
know that stuff?
They go for the nitty gritty. They're going to find it. They're going to want it. And they're going to document it.
Oh
Everything.
my goodness. Wow.
hmm
Let me ask you, if you could do everything all over again, knowing what you know now, this is a trick question though, because you would do it again because you called and asked, can I do it again?
Absolutely. I would do it in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
That is so crazy. Do you have a desire, do you feel like you're missing out on something? If you don't ever have biological children, or do you feel like you're totally okay with
Well, no, I do sometimes because I really want to carry a child.
that experience?
I do. I want the pregnancy experience. I want to be able to, have a child inside me.
Yeah.
Feel all of the ins
all
and
the
outs.
woman feels.
I do. I want to. I watched the birthing video though, and it kind of really scared me.
Don't watch any more of that.
No, no.
Just kind of go in there and
not think about nothing other than that. But no,
But you're still very young.
I am.
And that's crazy too, that you were able to do this at such a young age. Being a single mom, a young age, working mom, that is almost like a miracle.
You had to prove it. You had to prove that you could make it financially. You had to prove that you have a home. You had to prove that you could take care of somebody other than yourself.
And I don't know anybody else your age that could have done that.
Well, I don't know too
I
many
really
people.
don't know any other person, so it's it had to work out with you,
Yeah, I mean, when
it
a lot
seems
of
very,
people will say, "Oh my gosh, she looks just like you," and I let that stuff slide because it's nothing to get into a whole drawn out process. Yeah, a lot of people say she does favor me. But there is some people that will be like, "Well, I heard that you adopted a kid," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, I did." I said, "She's 3." And they go, "Really?" And I'm like,
It's been
yes.
3 years.
I was like, she is growing so much. And they're like, I still can't believe you did it. I was like...
Because you hear all the time how hard it is. And it is hard.
It is.
And you have to kind of have
That's where your support system comes in. And it's not even just family. It was church. Yeah. I don't know how many times I had to call people and say, hey, I really need you to pray about this with me. Or we're going through a tough time right now. I got court tomorrow. You know. I needed that constant prayer.
How did you deal with people telling you not to do it or that it wasn't a good idea? Because I know that happened.
Oh yeah, it hurt my feelings. There was a lot of people that would say, oh no, you're making the wrong decision. This child's going to end up not liking you. What happens whenever you get married and you have a child? Are you even going to love her anymore? I had people that made all kinds of scenarios. And the best way that I could really put it was, this is my decision, and this is what I'm going to go with.
This is my life. You can screw yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
It was...
Did you have to kind of just have tunnel vision?
You did. Very much so. I had to block out. And it's a lot of times whenever, like, I'm talking to the Lord and I try not to get distracted, it's like I have to mentally put up blinders everywhere. And that's basically what I had to do, because I knew without a shadow of a doubt that God wanted me to have Gracie, and He wanted me to be her mama. Without a shadow of a doubt. I named her
And you had to
Gracie.
believe that, or else you wouldn't have got through it.
Yes, I started calling her Grace the second day that she was with me.
Wow.
And I knew from then on that was going to be her name.
Yeah.
And I knew from at that point, no matter how many people said, you're too young, don't do this, you're going to ruin your life, what about your dating life, what about finding a husband? Well, you know, if I find the right one, and that's who God...
They'll want to be a father.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He is going to know that I'm a package deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not just going to be a single person.
Yeah.
I'm not out there just to run the rows. I have an old mentality to begin with.
You're very old-fashioned.
Old. But I just don't have time for games. Yeah. And I guess that's my whole thing. I don't have time for games.
So if you want to holler at her, she's a package deal and she ain't got time for games.
That's true. That is very true. Very true. And I am open.
Send me, I'll hook you up. Send me your stuff. Okay. You answered like so many of my questions then. You're amazing. Okay.
Ask me any questions you want, even if it's not on your list.
Okay. Do you recommend adoption to others? Or
Absolutely.
do you feel like it only works for certain type of people, or everybody should, or how are you feeling about it?
I think that if you know that you can handle it, then I say do it. Every child out there deserves a home. They deserve to be loved. They deserve to be chosen and wanted. You can go on adoptkids.org. I do it all the time because I'm on there looking at children. And
you just want a house full.
I really do. I always wanted 6.
Oh, wow.
So you go through this list and you look at all of these babies and you just see all of these smiles, and I just wish I could bring them home with me. Just because because
there's so many kids that want a home.
Yes, they want a forever family.
Yeah.
They want to be able to have somebody to call family.
Yeah.
You look at all of these kids, whether they're, some of them can be, have hardships in life. Some of them have addictions, everything that is there. And you just feel bad because it goes all the way back to their childhood. Yeah. Their foundation wasn't set.
Do you feel like you have to kind of be strong, like spiritually, to do this?
Very much so. Because I'm going to let you know something. I cried a lot, but I also knew that God had me. The thing about it is, though, is you have to have in your mind to dig deep down and to latch onto something and not give up.
No matter what.
No matter what.
No matter what. Yeah.
No matter what. You have to dig down. When we found out that Grace had a biological father, it about broke me because I thought it was going to be easier if we didn't find the biological father. But then I felt bad because I wanted Gracie to know her family, and then it's still like that today. She has no contact
with the
she has no contact with her biological mom and dad, and I do that for a reason of protection, because I feel like, how do I explain that to my child right now
when she's so
what's
little?
Gonna happen? You know what I mean? Like, I can't confuse her, but then again I feel bad because what if I'm not letting her experience having something?
I feel like whenever you talk about the mom instinct that you already have, that's there for a reason.
It is. And another thing is, you have got to protect your kids.
Yeah.
There is so many spirits, strong forces, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, out
unhealthy lifestyles.
Yes, very much
we're
so.
even just saying from the looks of things.
Yes. And there are so many people that don't protect their children that I feel like you have to be their voice. You have to be that person that they can go to, but you have to be there.
You're her safe place for sure.
Yes, and she's mine.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 2 peas in a pod majority of the time. But I think that's what brought me to adoption more than anything, is the children that don't have a home or don't feel wanted. I want to change.
And you just have a heart for kids.
Oh yes, I love children.
Yeah, I've always known that about you.
Yeah,
I
love
really
kids.
like
I
kids.
relate. I mean, sometimes I'm just like, I understand. I completely understand.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Kelly wanted me to ask you this actually. He always gets all up in my videos, y'all, and don't want to be on one of them. He said, are there any like hidden fees in adoption that you were like, oh my gosh, I have to pay for that?
So actually, no. Basically, CPS will basically do anything that you need them to do.
Okay.
They'll get you diapers, car seats,
Really?
if you need coats, clothes, stuff like that. They have some donation places that they can go and get some stuff from. I mean, I did purchase a lot of stuff for Gracie just because I knew she needed it. Now, as far as doing like court fees and stuff like that,
yes.
Because CPS
Reached
in
out
my
to you?
mind, yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, they reached out to me, but because they were taking so long for this process, and I wanted this process over.
Yeah.
I was tired of going to court. I was tired of having to deal with people in my house all the time. I just wanted to go on from our life. You know what I mean? I had to contact my own lawyer, and I hired my own lawyer.
But that's not like a requirement, but you just wanted it done.
Yes, I wanted it done, and my lawyer was a bulldog, so if you ever need a lawyer, please let me know, because she's good.
Okay. And like, how soon after you hired your own lawyer did it wrap up?
I hired my lawyer in January, and we were done by July.
Oh my gosh, it made that big of a difference.
Yes.
Wow. So how long do you think it would have carried on if you hadn't have done that?
If I wouldn't have had my lawyer to push the things that needed to be done in court, it probably wouldn't have been 2 years, more than that.
Wow.
I think the statute, I don't know for sure, but I think it's 2 years that you can have a child in state custody without having parental rights terminated at some point in time.
Right. So it's in their best interest to wait it out so that they don't have to do anything.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And when we got there, you have your court-appointed lawyers. As much as you love the court system, and as much as I love these court-appointed lawyers,
we love the court system.
Yes.
We do not.
They have so many cases overloaded right now.
Yeah.
And that just was in Trinity County.
Yeah. And this was even before COVID, so imagine how it is now.
Yes. I mean, it was just beyond crazy. You go to court and they'll be like, who? What? When? I didn't know that. I'm like, and I have all my paperwork there, just like, here you go. Yeah. I had to fight and fight and fight. That's finally why we had decided I needed a lawyer. I got one. She got in. She started doing it. It was over. She started getting parental rights terminated. Wow. Okay, well, they didn't do this, so let's go to this next one. And she ended up pushing the judge, finally, to making a decision. Wow.
Do you want to tell people how much that cost you?
Sure. I paid actually $1,200 for my lawyer. It was actually $2,400, $2,500 altogether. But because I had adopted Grace through the state of Texas, the state of Texas covered the other half. So I only had to pay $1,200 for my lawyer, and then they took care of the rest.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I've heard lawyers costing.
There is, but all the benefits are very worth every adoption. Yeah. Gracie will have health insurance until she's 24 years old, 25 years old.
Provided by the state?
Yes, provided by the state. She can go to any college in the state of Texas, and they will pay up to 4 years of her college.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
There's going to be scholarships that she will be able to apply for that will pay for all of her books, her food, her college, her car, whatever she needs at that point in time, the state is going to pay for every bit of it.
Oh my gosh. And is this for every adoption?
Every child that is adopted through the state of Texas that is through CPS care. So if they belong to the state at one point in time, all of that gets taken care of.
That is so cool.
Mm-hmm. And that's really
I hate that you have to go through being in their care to get that, but at least it kind of helps.
They do. I mean, and they do provide. And there's things that we can get, like I can get WIC for her for all my years. She'll always be able to qualify for something. Yeah. If I want her to go to gymnastics,
because they'll want adoption to work.
Yes. And then you also get an adoption subsidy, almost like a child support check from the state every month. And I get paid such amount of money every month. So
you didn't know any of this before you did it. So if that's your motivation, then it's the wrong motivation. But it's just like an added bonus because it really helps.
I never knew any of this until we got to the point where I asked my lawyer about the adoption. And she says, okay, well, this is what you're going to get from the state. I said, are you serious? She says, yes. She said Grace will be taken care of with health insurance and with college.
That is amazing.
And that's one of those things I was like, praise God, because health insurance with that job is very expensive.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have health insurance right now
No.
because it's just too expensive.
No.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. I'm glad that she's going to always be taken care of.
Yes.
And is there a way to, like, I guess you wouldn't know this, but is there a way to know, like, in the future, like, if you will have to, like, do anything? Well, you said that they said that she's yours. And
Oh, yes. No,
okay.
there's nothing I have to do. Nothing in the future.
Wow. So it's just done.
It's done.
How did that feel?
Let me tell you, it felt like a relief. I don't know how to say the word, but it's in Hebrew, and it's what Jesus said whenever he was crucified on the cross. He said, "It is finished." It is
Because y'all
finished.
all went through so much. To
Oh
have
my
her.
gosh, yes. It went through a lot of ups and downs, and it was like at that point in time, because of course when I did my adoption, it was through COVID, so we had to do it through Zoom. So I was so thankful that my older brother had a computer. He got to hook it up on the TV. We had a part. We had people there. Everybody got to sit and we got to watch. And, you know, they call your case number, you know. And Mom didn't know, but I forgot to mute it after that. But one of the judge says, "Do you take this child to be yours? Lawfully yours forever?" And I'm like,
kind of like
yes,
a marriage.
Yes. It is a commitment.
Wow.
You know,
That's
do
really
you promise
cool.
to take care of this child for her entire life?
Wow. Wow.
And I said, "Yes, I do." And she says, "All right, then the papers are signed."
Oh, and then the party commences.
And the party commences. I mean, I know that there's
so
going to
cool.
be things in the future that Grace will always have questions about. I mean,
Are you
I hope that
prepared for that? Or are you trying to prepare now?
I am trying to prepare now with the right answers. Because she does have a biological family. I want them to be introduced.
Does it make you nervous?
Yes, very much so. Like, I had her biological father catch my mother the other day at the grocery store, wanting to see her.
Oh, that's hard.
And it is, because I feel like I'm caught in between a rock and a hard place. Do I let her see this person, but yet have questions, and then she's confused because she is so little?
Yeah.
Do I do it because...
So, do you feel like you'll know when the right time is? If the time comes, do you feel like you'll just
I have
know?
been praying about it, and I hope that God will reveal it to me, whether it's a right decision or not, because there is just so much that you want to protect your child from, especially at an early age, that
because
I'm
she's already been
scared
through
to pass
so
that.
much.
She has. And, you know, and even to begin to start from the very beginning, Gracie was born with alcohol and drugs in her system. 2 weeks before the biological mother had even given birth.
Because she didn't even know she was pregnant.
No, she was 3 times over the legal limit. So there was so much alcohol, there was so much drugs,
And
there
she's
was
having
smoking.
to overcome health issues
She
along
is.
with
When
attachment issues.
Yes, when she was born, I don't know what they called it. It's when she has a really small head. So her head was like maybe 13 inches across.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, she had really, really, really small head. So then we had to go to a neurologist. And that neurologist so during all of this paperwork that I'm having to do, you're having to go to doctors. She had to have tubes put in her ears. We had to have surgery because she had to have that. Had to see an ENT doctor. Had to go down to Houston to do this. So there's a lot of things that has got to go with. And even whenever you foster a child, there is a thing that you have to do before that. Within like 72 hours, your child has got to go to the doctor because they have to have a checkup.
Yeah.
Within that whole time frame. They have to be up to date on shots.
Oh,
they
really?
have to
like
be,
you can't even like
No.
have any freedom with that.
No.
Wow.
The only freedom that I've had so far is the flu shot and pneumonia shot. But any other thing that is required by the state,
Wow.
she has to go through.
Wow.
It was
went through
different.
a lot. I was about to say you went
It
through a
was
lot.
different. It was different.
Wow. So is it like the typical, do you feel like, I guess because you didn't have any other kids before that, but do you feel like it was the typical type of things that you were dealing with her, or do you think it was magnified because of adoption? Like when she doesn't sleep, do you feel like, oh, is this because of this? And it's not just because she's
in a
doesn't want to
way,
sleep.
yes, because whenever you physically have a child, you never have to worry about somebody coming in and taking your baby. You know, you had that.
So that was just
automatic,
always in the back of
secure-
your head.
Of course. And now as she gets older, I'm trying to open up doors for her to understand that not all families are the same. And so that she understands in her mind that it's okay that she was adopted. It's not something to be ashamed of, and it's not something that you want to hide in a closet. It's something that people need to be aware of.
Do you feel like every adoptive kid should be told they were adopted?
Yes. Because I feel like if you don't, and you hold that secret in, when your child gets older, they're going to think that you lied to them. And if you lied to them about that,
what else are you lying about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
what
true.
else? What other things are you hiding from that child? And I try to be open and honest with Grace as much as I can.
And just kind of break it down to where she can understand.
There's other things that she's going to be made aware of when she's older and when the time is right. Because she has older siblings, I think, that are in their 30s, maybe 40s. I don't even know.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you know, because of her dad.
Her biological father is a much older man. And so
Gotcha.
He has children. Well, he's from Mexico. So he still has a grandmother that lives in Mexico. There's just so many things that you don't even realize.
And every child in their situation is different. So every adoption, therefore, is different.
Exactly. I mean, you can't compare tomatoes and tomatoes because it's not.
Yeah. Wow. So if you do adopt, it'll be a whole different scenario.
Yes.
Like you could have one where the baby was just dropped at a fire station and you don't have to deal with anything.
Exactly.
Wow.
Then you can find
Do you feel like it was a benefit to know Grace's biological situation?
I do, actually. I love her grandmother and her aunt very much.
Okay.
They are the sweetest people, prayer warriors at the Wazoo. They are the greatest.
You feel like that helped a lot with the...
Very, because they were also advocates for me as well to state...
Because they knew you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And they knew the biological mother's... circumstances, so they knew that she couldn't care for a child, and she didn't have the mental capacity to handle another human being. You know, it took the state a long time to deem the parent incompetent, but at some point it has got to be done. It's just a long process.
Wow. This was very interesting, and I learned a lot that I didn't know, and I know you in real life.
It's weird. I don't usually tell a lot of people a lot of stuff because, I mean, if they want to hear, sure, I'm an open book.
Do you feel like it's just too much to, like, tell people about because thing after thing was happening and it was just getting to be, like, were you, like, bottling it in?
Very much. I'm a big person that bottles my emotions in. I don't really tell anybody anything. I really keep everything private. A lot of people get mad at me for that, but it's just not me. But, yes, I did. I kept a lot of it in, and I did a lot of praying, a lot of talking.
So, has this helped you to talk about it?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. A lot of people need to know other people's stories because I feel like if they knew what other people were going through, then they would understand.
And,
I mean,
because you were still, like, what's crazy is I remember this time you were still, like, showing up at church. You were still showing up at work. You were still, like, your happy self. You were still, like, just doing it, going. And I always thought, man, she is so strong. Like, how is she doing that?
A lot of perseverance. A lot of inside crying. Best place to cry was the shower. Because it's the only place I get by myself.
So how did you handle, just one more quick question about it. How did you handle, like, because I know Gracie was getting to be like almost 2, right? Before this was done. How did you handle, like, discipline? Because I know a lot of, like, CPS rules say you can't spank, you can't, you know, there are, like, all these rules. How did you handle, like, if she would, like, need discipline?
So honestly, you have to go through, and daycare does it too. It's called redirecting. Tons of redirecting. Okay,
I've heard of that.
You cannot spank or touch a child physically. So there was no slapping or, you know,
well, not that you would want to slap her anyways.
But like we did a lot of sitting down. Hands in our lap.
What did they recommend? Just they would tell you to redirect.
What
their recommendation?
Their recommendation was redirecting, or however old she is. So, like, let's say she's 1, she has to sit in the corner for 1 minute. She's 2, she sits in the corner for 2 minutes. 3, 4, you know, the vice versa. There was putting her in a bed and having her sit there.
Okay.
I also felt though that if you
That
put them
seems
in a
more
bed,
harsh.
yeah, if you put them in the bed and you make them sit there, then she thinks that the bed is not her safe place. You know, like I want
You
her
want
to be able to
sleep. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things that we had to do. A lot of the sitting in the corner, or a lot of her sitting in my lap and not going anywhere or touching anything.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like your own version of a timeout.
Pretty much, yes.
Wow.
I mean, there's
so
many
redirecting
things.
is like whenever they're doing something they're not supposed to, you say, "Hey, come look at this shiny thing over here."
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
And a lot of the times, and they tell you can't really say the word no. You're not allowed to say no. So you have to think of different ways to say it. So instead of saying no, don't do that.
How do you do that? Because that seems like second nature to say no, no, no. Like
That's
even
what
my
you
little
wanna
nephews
say.
and nieces, you're like, ah.
I did say a lot.
Okay.
But they want you to say like, let's not do that, or that wasn't a great choice, or let's put our emotions.
They have so many rules.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And even though, you know, Gracie is half Hispanic.
Okay.
Do you know that I had to get Hispanic toys?
Wow.
I had to have some toys that spoke Spanish.
That's probably good though. So she connects with her.
Her roots. She had to have things that were Hispanic. So I got books that did English and Spanish.
Cool.
I did. There was some toys that I was able to find.
Do you think you would have thought to do that if they hadn't said that?
No,
probably not. Because it's just not something you think about.
I mean, my Spanish is awful, but yes. I mean, I would not have thought about that, but they said that because she is of a minority, that she has to know her background. And that's another thing with adoption. You don't want to cancel out their entire history or their past because they have to know who they are. Yeah. They're going to question it. Yeah. So don't hide it from them.
Do you think you're going to give her a quinceañera?
I don't know. She might get one of those. It might be a different quinceañera than most quinceañeras.
A contrañera?
Probably. That could possibly be it.
How cute.
That could possibly be
I could totally see you giving her a quinceañera. That would be so fun.
I would give her anything she wanted.
That's true.
Anything she wanted, I'd give it to her.
You're a good mom, Sarah Beth. I just watch you all the time, and I think, oh, that was just meant to be.
A lot of times it calls for a lot of patience. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of patience involved with parenting. And I know most parents out there know it has to come a lot of patience. Yeah. Because
I think it's harder because you know, like, you're aware of her circumstance and you're having to, like, consider that with every decision you make.
It is because I'm never sure, is she doing this because she's just stubborn? Yeah. Or is she doing this because
she's very
very strong-willed. Yeah. You know, it's always, you know, do I do this because I feel like she had drugs and alcohol in her system and I feel like that's the reason why she's doing it? Or do I think she's doing it because she is strong-willed? She's stubborn. She wants things her way.
Yeah. I relate.
She does. She always wants things her way.
All right. Well, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, no problem.
I'm going to play a little game with you.
Hit it.
Called Would You Rather.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Shoot.
I just like to end on like a fun game note, you know?
Go for it.
Because a lot of these topics are heavy.
Yeah.
Like, this is a heavy situation that, thank God, has a great happy ending. But a lot of them don't.
And I can tell you this. When we did adoption, never once did they ask us to see a therapist or to get a mental check. But do you know that whenever I went to an IVF clinic, one of the subjects that I had to do was I had to see a therapist to clear me to go through with IVF.
Interesting. Did you want to do IVF before or after the adoption?
I actually wanted to do it after.
Really?
I went to a fertility clinic not too long ago and I spoke with the doctor and he had everything set up. I had all my paperwork done.
Wow. You just didn't go through with it?
No. It's so weird because you go and you look on sperm what do you call them? Banks?
Yeah.
And
they're my gosh, if
like
you end up doing this, I'm going to get you back on here to talk about it.
It's like picking a child. I'm serious. You go in and you tell them what color hair you want, how tall you want, what color skin, and they bring up all the potential people and they'll give you
Is that why so many people like have twins and stuff?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
There's everything. You can go on there. And the only reason I didn't do IVF is because I had this thing where it was, how do I not tell my child about her biological father?
Because you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, because the only thing I'm going to know is a number. That's it. I don't even get a name.
Really?
Yeah, you just get sperm donor number, ta-ta-ta-ta. And they'll give you a baby picture. And you get a
Wow.
baby picture of that person, but that's it.
That is crazy. With the DNA and stuff that's
Yeah.
happening now, they would
Yeah.
probably figure out who they're.
Oh, yeah.
Who their dad was.
Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people did not like that. Find out who all did was sperm donors. But yeah, I did. And of course, I didn't know how people would react. I mean, they had already reacted one
So,
way to me
yeah.
having adoption. I don't know how they would feel about me having IVF.
I'm sure you're going to do it, whatever you want to do, if you feel like God wants you to.
I do. I always want children. I want more babies. I don't know how Gracie will handle it, but I want more babies.
She's like, no, my mom.
Yes, she is.
Do you feel like she'll be more open to it the older she gets? Maybe when she starts asking
I
for a
think
sibling?
so.
Because a lot of kids do that.
She is. Like, she loves the babies at daycare.
Okay.
So they always say that she's like the number one helper. She'll get binky, she'll do wipes, she'll do whatever you need her to do. She wants to feed the babies. She wants everything to do with the baby. And we actually have a niece now. Well, it's actually a great niece. And they came over to the house over the weekend, and Aubrey is 8 months old, 9 months old, and she wants to be right there. She wants to feed her. She wants to get a bottle, get a blanket. Whatever the baby needs, she wants to do it.
Wow.
But you let me hold the baby and it's a different story.
She's just
She
jealous.
does not like it.
Cute. Okay, first question.
Okay.
Locked in a room with your worst enemy or locked in a room all alone? Would you rather is the game.
Would I rather? I would be alone.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not afraid of being locked in a room?
No.
All right, eat a worm or lick a slug?
Like a slug.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least I don't have to digest it.
Would you rather have 8 arms or 8 legs?
Arms.
Arms?
Yeah, definitely.
That would be so helpful as a mom.
Yes. Washing dishes, doing laundry, taking care of
Okay,
kids.
would you rather have rotten teeth or a huge nose?
Ooh, huge nose.
Yeah, I was going to say that one too.
I don't like teeth.
Okay, last one. Never go to the toilet again or never sleep again. That's hard.
Yeah.
Neither, Alex.
Yeah. I'm gonna say toilet.
Okay.
Yeah, toilet.
I lied. One more.
Okay.
Dance in your underwear or dance with an embarrassing uncle.
Definitely the underwear. I'll do the underwear.
All right, thank y'all so much for tuning in
Bye, guys.
for this episode on season 2 of Things They Don't Tell You podcast. We hope that this made you laugh, made you think, made you consider adoption if that's an option for you in your life right now, because there are so many kids who want to be adopted.
Yes.
Thank you so much. If you have any specific questions that we didn't talk about, send me a comment and I'll let her know, and we'll be try to come up with an answer for you. Thank you so much, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.